Hello everyone, my name is Paul and today I would like to do a tag video for you, and the tag that I've chosen to do is called My Neck of the Woods, and it was created by Kelly at Books I'm Not Reading. And I can't possibly mention Kelly's channel without also mentioning Old Boys Chapter and Verse, which is Jason's channel, and they are a great couple who both have great channels, and Jason has been particularly encouraging to me in creating my own channel, so thanks again, Jason. So for the My Neck of the Woods tag, the first question is to define your neck of the woods and to talk a little bit about your area. So I have my atlas here, hopefully you can see this, and there's Scotland, and I live in a small town called Forres, which is around about here. It's a great area to live in. It's very peaceful. As you can see, we have the coastline here, lots of really nice little towns and fishing villages. We have the Moray Firth, where you can quite often see dolphins swimming close to the coast. We also have the Cairngorm Mountains National Park. I quite often go hill walking in that area. And you also have the two cities if you want to go into the city, Inverness and Aberdeen. They're quite small cities, but they're good places to be. So that's my area, that's my corner of Scotland that I live in, and yeah, I have to say I feel quite lucky to live in this area. It's a nice place to be. Nice gorgeous countryside, and so yeah, that's where I am. So the next part of the My Neck of the Woods tag is to go over 5 books that are related to your area. And so I have a selection here that I'm going to discuss. The first book is actually a trilogy, and it's called A Scots Quair. A lot of people will be familiar with this trilogy because it's very famous, it's classic, and it's made up of 3 novels called Sunset Song, Cloud How and Grey Granite. Sunset Song being by far the most famous novel of the 3, and it follows the trials and tribulations of a young farm girl called Chris Guthrie, who and the story is set around about the time of the First World War. I don't want to go too far into the story because for fear of coming out with spoilers, but suffice to say it's a really good yarn, it's a really good story. It really grabbed my imagination. There was actually a movie made of Sunset Song. I think it was in 2015, and I have to say the actress that they found to play Chris Guthrie was absolutely perfect for the role. The way that she could portray emotion was, for me, incredible. In fact, what I'm going to do is leave a link in the description box below to the trailer for that movie, because it really is quite something. So if anyone's interested, they can check that out. The other thing that I want to say about this book on a personal note, and before I explain this, it's not a spoiler, I promise, but at the end of the book there's a scene that's set on the summit of a hill, and I would, as the story is set in the local area, I can work out where that hill is, and I would love to go there and, you know, go up to the summit of that hill myself and just really spend some time there and reflect on this book and how it ended and the story, and I think that would be a special thing for me to do. I really need to get round to doing that in the not too distant future, and it's a great cover on this particular edition of the trilogy, very atmospheric, as you can see. But yeah, I really need to get round to visiting that the summit of that hill very soon. The next book that I'd like to show you is this is a real claim to fame for this corner of Scotland. It really is, because the next book here is Macbeth by William Shakespeare. As a lot of you will know watching this video, Macbeth is strongly linked to Cawdor, which actually is just 10 miles in that direction. And to be honest with you, is one of the main reasons that I picked this book up. If I'm going to be honest, I struggle with Shakespeare. I'm intrigued by it. I like the stories, but I do find it difficult. I think with Shakespeare you really have to be in the right frame of mind, in the right mindset to tackle it. And I'll get there. I mean, I'm very much a mood reader. I can't just pick up anything and read it. I have to be there mentally and ready to get into the book. But yeah, I mean, I could see me in, you know, one point in the future I'm going to wake up and I'm just going to feel that yes, Shakespeare, now is the time, and I'll end up reading the complete works, and I'm sure loving it. But at this point in time I do struggle with it. But anyway, that's Macbeth, Shakespeare. The next book, I have a sneaky suspicion that one or two of you may have heard of this poet. I believe he's quite famous, and it's Robert Burns. The complete poetical works of Robert Burns. It's a nice edition of the book. Again, in the interest of honesty, I am not a big poetry person, but the small corners of the poetry world that I know about and that I've read are quite special to me. So but when I got this book, I'd be interested to know how people read poetry in collections like this. Do people read these books cover to cover like they read a novel, or do they dip in and out? I'd be interested to know what you do. I'd love to hear from people if you would like to comment on that. But I really got into Robert Burns through song, because I am a big music fan. I absolutely love music, and here in Scotland we have a big folk music scene, and I started listening to that kind of music more and more, and Burns songs and Burns poems that have been presented as songs do feature quite large in the folk music world, and so that's what really switched me on to Robert Burns. But what I'd like to do as well is there's a young singer from this area called Rachel Sermani. I've met her a couple of times. She's quite a character, and she's a great singer-songwriter, and she does a great version of I Fond Kiss, one of the most famous of the Burns poems. And I'll leave a link to her video in the description box below, because she does a wonderful performance of that. and like most folk musicians, it's a simple, stripped down version of the song. But for anyone that's interested, I'll leave that link below. So that's Robert Burns. The next book that I'd like to show you is a very nice and neatly put together local history book, and it's called Lost Murray in Nairn, and it's written by Bruce B. Bishop. It's a really nice little book. That image on the front is typical of many of the diagrams in the book, the drawings in the book, and it's a really nicely put together book. I have to, I was really quite ignorant actually of a lot of the local history in this area, and this book intrigued me. You can see another photograph there of one of the old harbours in a village called Lossiemouth, a town called Lossiemouth. But I think knowing about your local history and your local area, it really adds something to your life, if that's not overstating it. It really, you're driving through your local area, walking down the street, and you really, you have a deeper appreciation for your area, You know about events and things that took place in the past. And it's just quite nice. It adds to the richness of life, I find. How interesting this book would be to people that live outside of this area, I'm not sure, but it's certainly a very well put together book. And for the final book that I want to discuss today, this one is going to be along very similar lines to the last book, and it's A History of Scotland by Neil Oliver. This was a 10-part TV series on the BBC, and the TV series was just excellent. I've watched it several times. I have it now on DVD. I've read the book once, but then I'm not a big rereader of books. But again, this book is excellent. And as you'd expect, yes, it's the history of Scotland, but it also touches on the history of this area. And it's just, it's presented in a very accessible way, which I like. There's a couple of photographs that I would like to show you here. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but there's a group of standing stones, and you can find examples of these dotted around throughout Scotland. That one happens to be from the Isle of Lewis, but there's actually a link here to the first book that I spoke about, and Sunset Song in particular. And the character in that book, Chris Guthrie, would often go to these circles of standing stones, ancient standing stones. And she went there at various points throughout the book to think and to reflect and to ponder her next move in life. And there it is in this book. I've only visited a couple of them, but they're very special places, they're good places to visit. So that is the history of Scotland, and I think that would be a very interesting book to read for anyone that's into their history. One thing that Scotland does very well is history, we're just steeped in it. So anyway, that's the final book. And so, yeah, I guess I've completed the tag now. I had a lot of fun doing it and selecting the books for it. so I hope you enjoyed it. The third part of the tag was actually to tag other booktubers who you wanted to see also do the tag, but it's quite well established, this tag now, so I'm just going to leave it open for anyone else that wants to do it. And so as usual, thank you for watching the video. I appreciate that people I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any comments or want to get in touch, feel free. But I hope you're having a good day wherever you are, and thanks for watching. Goodbye.